So, good evening, guys. Welcome to our session in here for today. I hope all of you guys are doing really good. Am I audible, guys, to all of you? Everybody, am I audible? Is my screen visible and is everything from the internet point of view going really good, guys? Can I get a confirmation? So, okay, perfect. So, let us get started with our session in here for today. And as all of you guys know, that this is the last session that we would be having over here. And definitely you guys, after this session is completed, you will definitely have some things to do over here, right? You will definitely have some portions, some things over here, like the project work and everything, which we have been discussing this in this week. So on Tuesday we have discussed web scraping and machine learning projects. On Thursday we have discussed, or yesterday we have discussed deep learning projects, right? Especially image classification projects. And today, before we start with anything new, I want to ask you guys whether you are having any questions or doubts. So, any questions or doubts that I can help you with, guys? And I mean, it is like a really important portion, or it is like a really important thing over here, right? So, tell me about your questions, about your doubts if you are having any. We will have a discussion on those points over here. And then we will kind of try to move ahead with the next part or next portion over here. Right? Anybody, guys, any questions, any doubts, any concerns that I can help you with? So perfect, guys. I think nobody is responding. So can I assume that all of you guys are in a good to go position? Everybody. So let us get started with our portion. Let us get started with our research work over here. And whenever you guys are creating any end-to-end model, right? At that particular point of time, this is basically the architecture that you are expected to follow, specifically with regards to ML modeling over here, which you can again go through if you want to. So obviously you will first have to import important libraries, then you will have importing the data, then you have getting an understanding about the data with which you are working, then getting an understanding about the problem that you are trying to solve, which is coming under problem gathering over here, right? So all of these things are something with which you are expected to work around with. So this workflow is not something that I have copied from any internet or something like that, right? So this workflow is basically something which is uh, derived by the projects that I completed in industry, right? From that experience, I have given you this particular end-to-end workflow. And obviously, this end-to-end workflow is not basically something which is gonna remain common for all the things over here, right? This end-to-end workflow is basically something that will be changing or that would be changing for all the aspects or all the portions over here, right? So any questions, any doubts, any concerns that I can help you with, everybody? Any questions, doubts, guys? Now, after this is done, the next portion over here with which we would be working is that assuming that this all of these portions or all of these things are kind of perfectly clear to all of you. Okay. So now after this is done, you read it for 2 minutes and then we will kind of try to move ahead with the section or move ahead with the portion. So after this is done, the next thing that I want all of you guys to understand is that there are some list of projects over here, and that too what we are going to discuss today, NLPM time series problem. So if you guys are working in finance industry or anything related to that, then I think this is basically something that would come very trendy for you guys, right? So now after this particular portion is done, the next thing over here with which you guys are expected to move ahead with, it is revolving around the section or it is revolving around the NLP and time series projects over here. So let me see Bitcoin price prediction, and it is very trendy project right now. 846. Just let me see if I have 846 over here or not. Yeah. So basically, the data is basically something which is present over here. 846. You can take a minute of your time to get an idea about the given portion over here. So what is happening over here is that the Bitcoin price prediction employs ML techniques, and obviously the price is something which is dependent on the target variable over here, right? So on the time over here, so it this is like a very in finance industry. I'm as I told you, I'm working at a financial firm named Edelweiss Financial Services Limited. So Edelweiss is into mutual funds, broking, and everything. So it would be really helpful for me to get an idea about the given fact or get an idea about the given portion if you work in this. So a lot of fintech companies are coming out there. Just before this particular call, I was in touch with two learners who had received the interview round invitation for a fintech company, right? So fintech companies are basically something with which you guys are expected to work around. So if you want to go in finance industry, then definitely this is something that can be a good potential choice over here. I mean, this project can be definitely a good potential choice over here, right? So take your time, go through this particular portion, and let me know if you are having any questions, doubts, or concerns on this. Now, I think there is one comment that I'm getting. Can you please share the link? Obviously, I can share the link, but I don't know whether you would be able to access this or not. Uh, yeah, here is the link. I think this account or this link is accessible only from the admin account. Right. Now, after this is done, not accessible. I know. Yeah, that is why I am sharing the screen. And I know, Chinny, you are absolutely correct. This link is only accessible from the admin account. I think the course coordinators will give you the description about the problem statement from which you can learn the given portion or get an idea about the given part over here. Right? Absolutely correct. So what I was saying is that it is this Bitcoin project over here, and the his like time series data is there because whenever there is any financial portion or any financial data that is taken into consideration at that particular point of time, these type of data sets are definitely taken over here, right? So now after this is done, the next portion over here with which you are kind of expected to move ahead with, it revolves around a really important portion, right? So now after this is done, let us try to see that ARIMA file that is over here. ARIMA stands for Auto-Regressive Integrated Moving Average. And let us try to see that how we have used this ARIMA modeling portion over here to get an idea about the given part, right? So what has been done over here is that over here, this is the video clip, right? And what is happening over here is that these are the coding files that are present. Uh, uh, yeah. So now let's move ahead. Let's close this. Let's move ahead with this. So here in this particular coding file, let me see. Yeah. So what is happening over here is that these are some of the libraries that have been kind of used over here, right? So NumPy, Panda, Seaborn, Matplotlib, right? SkyPy, StatsModel.aps, ITER tools, DateTime. So these are some of the really interesting libraries over here that we have kind of tried to use. Now, after this is done, here is the data importing part. So the data is something that would be given to you. It is 1 minute data, intraday data, right? It is intraday data. 1 minute data means intraday data. And I personally think that the size of this data would be very huge, uh, because obviously what is happening over here is that uh, it is like for a single given day, Indian stock market is having 755 1 minute ticks. 755, sorry, 375 1 minute ticks and 75 5 minute ticks. So you are basically going to resample the data day wise, and you are going to take the mean. You are resampling it month wise, and you are resampling it with the annual frequency from December quarterly frequency. So these are the what you can say sampling portions that are being done over here on the given data set with which we are kind of expected to. Now, after this is done, what these guys are basically expecting to do over here is that they are having the plots, and these are the plots. So by days, it looks like this, by months, by quarters, and by years, right? So we will have a look at the code, and definitely you can see that there is some meaningful conclusion that can be derived out of it. Okay. So this is something that you are expected to get an idea about. And after this is done, the next is sanity checks on the data. So you are doing STL decomposition stationary check. So here we have also done this, getting the decomposition of the time series data. If you remember in the last coding session that we had on last Friday, previous Friday, we tried to go through a file in which we were decomposing all the elements of the time series data, right? I don't know whether you guys remember it or not, but we have done it, right? We have tried to decompose all the elements of that portion, time series modeling. So in that, even we have done this particular part. See, this is the trend, seasonality, and residual. We have also decomposed seasonal underscore decompose, and this is the part. And same seasonal underscore decompose, and we have decomposed the price. So there is all the elements that are there. So see, it is written observed, trend, seasonality, and residual. So they have kind of tried to extract all of these portions over here, right? And now after this is done, yes, so okay, next there is Boxcox transformation. So this is just transforming the data in a particular portion, seasonal differentiation, regular differentiation, model selection. So this is basically the autocorrelation, and autocorrelation is whether after a particular interval, this particular portion is something with which you are kind of expected to work with. So you can see autocorrelation is a portion that we have not completed in our example in our exercise, but you can really take an idea about autocorrelated features, how to detect it from this section. And after this section is done, the next portion over here is to get the initial few parameters for the ARIMA model, right? You can have a look at this complete code that the people at the other end have written. And these things are definitely gonna be a really important sections or important portions for us. And after this is done, once you have an idea about the given section, or once you have an idea about the given part over here, the next thing is that the best tools that are available over here, right? So here are the results Here you can interpret the model that is available, right? So basically, this is one way in which you can get an idea about all the parameters. You can create the model and move ahead with the section. Now, after this is done, the next thing over here is the analysis of the residuals or the errors, and you can see that this is how the errors are distributed. So there is one error point over here, but other than that, the error points are well within the range. Now, after this is done, the next section or the next portion over here is you can have a minute to see the STL decomposition over here for a minute if you want to. Now, after this is done, the next portion over here is the predictions. So this is how you can kind of do the predictions on the given aspect over here. Now, after this is done, Next, the portion over here is that this is the weight price and predicted weight price, which shows that it is still gonna increase, then take a correction, then again gonna increase, right? So this is a really classical portion that can help you in a lot of ideas over here. So these type of graphs are something that you guys are expected to draw, and you can get a look at this. And now after this is done, let us try to go through the next project over here. This is the first project itself. Let me close it, and then let's try to see the next project that kind of comes over here. So we have been discussing which project over here. Yeah, this one. Not chatbot NLP, right? So I think NLP problems are something that we are gonna discuss today. Just 1 minute. Yeah, NLP problems are there for discussion today. So this portion is 888, right? So you can see that what is a chatbot exactly, and how you can get an idea to go through this particular section or portion over here. So I once moved ahead with a problem statement in which we were expected to create chatbot using RASA library, RASA. So now after this is done, let me show you that where is the data, choosing the right data set. And I think the data is in zip file. Okay, so I will have it 888. So it is a text document, and with this text document, you can train that whenever a question is being asked, what are the typical answers that you are expected to give. Okay, so you can have a look at the questions. I will zoom into it. Some of the questions, and in this way, you are gonna train that chatbot. So this is a problem statement, and for this you can take into account what are the sections, what are the portions, how we can typically take this particular portion into consideration. Now, after this is done, let's see the next project that is available out here, right? That is project number one. Now, after this is done, the project number two over here is click through it, contact tracing, content categorization or article summarization, right? So what will happen is that there will be a blog and you would be expected to find uh, whether that blog is belonging to science, fiction, telecommunication, HR, marketing, sales. So this is a very typical article summarization prompt that you are expected to move ahead with. So here you can get an idea about that article summarization example, and according to me, knife-based classifier can really work well in this particular portion, because the way in which knife-based classifier works over here is that what is the probability that the given article or the given portion belongs to this class, provided a word is present over there, a particular word is present, right? So it will basically give you the probability of data point having a particular class given a particular word comes in that document over there. And the data for this 925 is on, okay, it's a zip data set. So I think I will have it 925, right? So it's basically this Excel data set. It's like a really big data over here. It will take some time to open up this data. So here is the ID of that video. Here is the title, right? Here is the category. Here is the description, right? So this is the data that you are kind of expected to move ahead. So take your time, go through this and let me know if I can help you with anything over here. Now, after this is done, the next part that we can move ahead with, I think we have article summarization is done. Uh, Daily birth rate forecasting. So now this is also very important. 914 birth rate forecasting. This one. So let's try to go through the project once. And I think that will give you the description of the project, what you are expected to do over there. And then we can kind of try to move ahead with the next section over here. And now after this is done, the next portion over here with which we are kind of expected to move ahead with is revolving around this part 914. Let me show you the data. So here is the date of birth And according to the date of birth, you can see how many people were born. So it is a pure time series problem, right? You are expected to get the time series elements over here and get the predictions about the given portion over here. And now after this type of data is done, the next portion over here is the Jupyter source file or the Jupyter code file that is available over here. So you can see that it is importing the data. You are getting the this type of nature over here, right? And I think the data is seasonal. Let's see, let's decompose it. And now after this is done, the next part over here is that you are creating the model you are forecasting. This is the trend. This is the weekly behavior. This is the yearly behavior. It's least in January and highest around Feb, March, something like that. right? So when you are forecasting, you are basically getting it month wise, right? These are the figures that you are getting it. Now, after this is done, the next is about the 95% confidence interval. So the shaded region that you guys are seeing over here, that is the confidence interval that is present, right? After this is done, the next portion over here is uh, about the plotting of the using FBR profit plot. So I think this profit was included in your coursework, if I remember, right? FP profit. So if you see your course curriculum, here it was included. See, where it is profit and MLOps basics, right? So now after this particular portion is done, let's see the next project, right? So daily birth rate prediction, employee turnover, extracting fruit recognition, fake news, gold price prediction, which would be very similar to Bitcoin price prediction because both of them are coming under different asset classes. Uh, Time series is Amazon stock price prediction. It's just that instead of Bitcoin, you give the stock price of Amazon. That's one and the same thing. Uh, Omicron sentiment analysis. So, natural language processing sentiment analysis regarding the Omicron variant 932, right? This is slightly different. Sure, if possible, Kausika, I will explain that. 930. I think I have explained that already in yesterday's session. If you go through the recorded lecture, fake news detection one. We have done this. So take 30 seconds to go through this part. And now after this is done, that's deepfake detection media, sir. That's the reason I'm asking about this. Okay. So this one is 932. Let me see if I have the data for this. This is the Jupyter source file. I don't want the Jupyter source file, the CSV data. Let's see how it is. So yeah, this is the ID, username, user location, the date, the followers, uh, another date again coming up over here, the text, the tags, and everything. Right now, there is a request by one of the learner. Let me close this. We already have lesser times about the fake news detection machine learning classification. So let me search over here fake news. Where is it? Fake deep computer vision problem, fake news detection. Okay, 32. So this is that problem. So 32 is 817 if I'm not wrong. Right? So you can take 1 minute 817 just if I have anything 817. So this is 817. Let all the other learners go through the portion and then you take 1 minute to go through this part and then we will discuss the project over here. So it's an advanced NLP problem combined with machine learning techniques. And after this is done, there is this fake news detection problem statement. You are importing the fake data set, true data set. And again, I think knife based classifier. So you create a column called as class. You assign 0 to the fake one, 1 to the true one. And then you are basically creating that algorithm over here. You merge those data frames row wise, removing the columns which are not required. Then we are doing some uh, tokenization, stop word removal, conversion to vectors using TF-IDF vectorizer. And then you can use, I think knife-based classifier will work very well. Take your time to go through this, guys. Take your time to see how they are converting it into vectors. And then after that is done, there is logistic regression. I mean, you can use any model after that, right? You are mature enough to